In this demo, I'm going to be using Photoshop Actions palette to transform a whole bunch of images that I want to use to make a video. So I'm going to show you a couple of things about using the Action palette. Now, first of all, if it's not in your browser on the side here, go into Window and you can select Actions. Here I have it in my browser, so I'll just click on it and I'm going to tear it away so that I can have it available, and then just close that because I like a neat window. So here your actions palette, you'll have whatever actions you've already created. You can do whatever you want with this. Like for instance, that's an old set of actions that I used. I'm just going to drag it into the trash and get rid of it so that I can start clean. Now the best thing to do is you select one of the images that you want to be using. So in this case, it's one of these files over here. So I'll just select the first one, open that. So what I want to do is I want to create a video that's going to be round. So I want to crop the images round and be able to keep that consistent throughout the entire series. And I also need to resize them because they're a little too big for making videos. So to make my task a little bit easier, I'm going to go to View, make my rulers visible. So you notice I've got my rulers, and then I'm going to set up my guides. What I want to do is set up my guides so that they're dead center to the image. And I'll just look at what the image size is. So let's see. So if I go to say 2 and a little bit and 1.5 and a little bit. So I'll zoom in here. So notice here I've got my ruler and I'm zoomed in. So I'm going to move this guide using my move tool. Going to move this guide a little bit further in to there, and this one I need 1 and a little bit. So I'm going to need to find where my 1 is. I'll zoom back. So my 1 is here. Well, that looks pretty well central. I'll drop it a wee bit. So I set up the guides so that I can make my actions in a fairly precise way. So what I'm going to do is select my path tool or my shape tool, and I'm going to make sure that I'm creating a path. I'm just going to try it out here. I'm going to select the ellipse tool, go to my middle point here, and click Alt so it starts in the middle, and click Shift so it stays perfectly round. Then I'm just going to see what that's going to look like. I'm quite happy with that. So I am going to go to my paths and just delete that path so I can start over with my actions. So now I'm going to create a new set of actions by clicking on the folder at the bottom of the menu. And I'm going to name it Video Images so that I can find it later. And then I start recording my actions by creating a new action. And I'll also call that Video Images. That'll be useful a little bit later. As soon as I hit this record, everything I do is going to be recorded. So I hit record. So now what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to draw my circle like I did earlier. So holding down the Option and the Shift, I can make a circle. It's going to be a path. And I'm kind of happy right there because I want to feather it a little bit later. So now I've created a path. So if I go to my path menu, if you remember we can take a path and we can turn it into a selection. So now I'll select my path. So notice here everything that I'm doing is being recorded in my actions. So I selected my path, I converted it to a selection border. Then I'm going to select my selection border tool and refine my edge a little bit. So I'm just going to feather it a wee little bit, 1.5 pixels or so. I'll smooth that out just a touch, give it a bit more contrast, and I'll go OK. So notice again, refine edge appears here. Then I'm going to inverse my selection and delete. Now I'm going to delete it to black because I know I'm going to be using it for video. And OK. Notice it's still recording everything. Then I'm going to deselect the image. Now because I've got a circle, I don't need all this black stuff on the side, so I'm going to crop it. I'm just going to bring in my crop tool here. And here, and try to make it even on all sides. Not quite get too close because then I'll see a line in my feathering. Okay, there, I'm happy with that. I'm going to accept my change. Notice crop appears here. So now I'm ready to deal with the size of the image for my video. So I'll go to image size. Now at 720 pixels by 716, that's actually a fairly decent size for video, so I'm actually going to leave it exactly where it is. The resolution doesn't affect anything, so it's just really the pixel dimensions. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's a nice high quality. It'll bog down my computer a little bit maybe, but it works. So I'm going to accept that change, or leave it as is, I should say. And now I'm just going to save my new image. So I'll save it as so that I can keep a version of my original. So I'll create a new folder within that folder. There we go. And just name that, let's see, resized. And save it in that folder. Now it's a JPEG because that's all I need for what I want to do, but I'm going to make sure I've got maximum quality and click OK. Notice it appears here. And then I'm going to close the image using my keyboard command and stop recording. So now if you look at the actions menu, there we go. You'll see that everything I did from setting up the path to selecting it, selecting the work path, selecting my selection, refining it, cropping everything and saving it is all part of a series of actions. Now one way to do this would be to open all your files. I'll just open one more. So I'll open the second one since I've already done the first one. And after that, you just select your set of actions. So video images, I'll select the actions and I'll just hit play. Notice it cropped the image, saved it, closed it, and everything for me, which is great. But there's even a faster way to do this because once you've saved this, it allows you to create batch processes for your images. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my folder. I'm just going to remove the first two images because I've already done them. I don't want to do them twice. That'll start degrading things. So I've got images for video. It's all there. I've got more than 400 images here. So obviously doing this one by one would be quite annoying. So now I'm going to go back to Photoshop. and I'm going to go File, Automate, and Batch. And from there, notice I can select the set, video images, what I put in. The action, video images, is what I put in. And here it says I can tell it which images I want it to choose. So I select the folder, Images for Video. I choose that. And destination, since I've already have it in my settings, I should not need to set it. So we'll see what happens. So I go OK, and you'll notice now that image after image is going to flash on the screen. So this is Photoshop going through the entire folder of images and applying all the changes that I made.